Ladies and gentlemen and in-betweeners, on this week's On the Rocks, we present the storytelling divas. One telling stories with his pen, and the other telling stories with her voice. The author and filmmaker, Josh Sabarra, is here. We have Broadway Road winner, Joan Ryan from Ruthless. And yes, she was in the original cast of Saved by the Bell, which we're going to talk about. My guest co-host, Adyr Villavicencio. And me, your favorite host, with the deepest voice. So raise a glass and let the drinks begin.
A banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, it is a little loud before I got in the diva status right here. Buttons and bows and pantyhose. It's On the Rocks podcast, the place where we're too glam to give a damn. Our On the Rocks deep thought for today. Money cannot buy happiness, but it looks cuter to cry in a Mercedes than on a scooter. We are in the holiday seasons. I swear, if anybody gets me one of those, I planted a tree in your honor for Christmas, you're out. Like, you've already taken away my straws. Like, now you're going to take away my presents for the earth? I know that sounds so bad, but anyway. I'm in love with today's show. I could literally call this the Jews that make me drool, by the way. It sounded better when I rehearsed it in my mind. Jewels make me drool.
No, I think that's funny.
I like it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Hello to our engineer, Kurt. Kurt, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. Do you have a pun for us today? Make it snappy.
I always have a pun for you.
I know.
Did I tell you a gentleman assaulted me the other day with milk, cream, and butter?
No.
Yeah, how dare he?
You got me there for a minute too. I was like, oh my god.
I knew it had to be bad. I just didn't know it was going to be that bad. Kurt, we have a writer here. Come on.
You can use that if you want.
Yeah, you know what? It's already in my notes in my phone.
You're welcome.
He good. But I'm sorry if you were sober listening, but thank you to our sober listeners for tuning in. We love you. Thank you for holding our hair back and driving us home. But if you are drinking, the official vodka of On the Rocks is, of course, Equality Vodka. 20% from every bottle helps nonprofits that secure equality for everyone.
Ooh.
Visit them at equalityvodka.com.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
great. And it's so delicious. No hangover. Kind of. Like them on their social media. Also, our featured sponsor today is iHoney or iHoney. It's high-end eyewear and accessories that combine classic styles with contemporary urban aesthetics. Check out their lines of crowns. I did say crowns. Wearable chic crowns for the club or brunch. They're fabulous. I wore them at Palm Springs Pride. Go to ihoney.com, and that's EYEHUNEE.com.
I would like a crown.
Yeah, you need a crown.
I should have a crown.
They're like
Are
gold,
these
and
for
they
your
have like
head
a
or your
patent leather.
teeth?
Yeah, no. Those are called Grails, girl. This is like how Nutter.
I thought after a root canal you get a crown.
Yeah.
Like the back. I thought you meant like a grill. Like
A crown. No.
No.
Why is it called the crown anyways?
Yeah, it's
I
not
guess
even-
because it
it crowns
crowns the piece of tooth.
Oh,
that's
look
been-
at that.
Isn't this fascinating?
The more you know.
You learn
Listen
everything.
to everyone.
otherwise.
Tune out.
Yes, we just lost on sponsors. iHoney is like, no thanks. This show is brought to you by Straw Hut Media and Here TV. You can watch and or listen to every one of our now 197 episodes.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
At OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. New episodes, of course, drop every Thursday. Hello to our listeners around the nation on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Roku, Pandora's new podcast section. Watch us on YouTube and Here TV. Also, we are now on Gay Binge TV. Go to GayBingeTV.com. New episodes weekly. And we are on the Facebook pages of Trending Now app, GED Magazine, I Love LGBT, and of course on the Rocks Radio Show Facebook. Add, subscribe, like us on Twitter and Instagram. I share a lot of fun pictures from the show at On the Rocks On Air. Send me an email, book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can also send me comments, questions, and newts. Want to see me on the road? This New Year's Eve, I'm your master of ceremonies at Hunter's Nightclub, celebrating 20 years in Palm Springs, California. I have some fun shenanigans planned. I'm going to bring some of my celebrity friends. I just want to do my Barbara Walters impersonation at the stroke of midnight. Be like, this is Barbara Walters with 2020. Does that sound like her? No? You guys are... No?
I might work
No,
on.
no,
I might
no.
work on it before January.
Yeah.
What
It's
do you
just
think?
it's the whole visual.
But your
too.
Mandarin
Barbara
thinking is really good.
Barbara
Yeah.
Walters.
Barbara Walters with 20... No? No?
Not
You guys, I do the worst impersonations. I can do Angela Lansbury, too.
Let's hear it.
I want to hear that.
laughing at my
I would love to hear
nose.
Angela Lansbury.
If music is... No? You guys, I could do a whole
I
show
think
about
you
really
have
bad.
other gifts.
That would be a fun game, actually. Really bad impersonation.
That's literally what I do. Like,
That's
hello, I'm Angela Lansbury. No? No.
that sounded a little like Yogi Bear.
I was expecting like, hello, I'm Angela Lansbury.
No, that's like Brenda Vaccaro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's Katharine
Yeah.
Hepburn.
Spencer would say, don't shit on the table in front of company. Guess who's coming to dinner? Okay, no? Yes?
Yes, that
Okay,
was.
was
that one
better.
will do.
That
What
was
about
better.
Bernadette Peters?
No, can you?
What? Bernadette Peters? No, this was awful. Okay, we're going to stop this. Also, Monday, January 13th, I'm co-hosting the red carpet at the CyberSocket Web Awards with AVN nominee Sylvia Sage. Go to cybersocketawards.com. Let me introduce my co-host for
This
today.
is why the show is 90 minutes, Joe. Because by the time we get through everything
know.
Alexander's doing,
Hello, my
Entertaining.
it's
Thank
30
you.
minutes just of his schedule.
Some of us are not jaded. Okay, let me introduce my co-host for today. One of my favorite things, Doe Adyr. Get it? Yeah. Every
female deer.
Yes. Ray, a tropical sun. Nice to meet you. Adyr Villavicencio was born and raised in L.A. He is a true native Angelino, a mythical creature. A native Angelino, what is that? He's an actor on the rise in comedy and improv. He lived in Hong Kong, where he worked in television and fashion for many years. There he learned and absorbed the Asian culture. What his name was? And he began his career.
His name was.
Anthony. And we just got shut down. That's where he began his career in film and television. He's Asian at heart, but Latino throughout, which gives him the
I
title.
love that.
He's a well-rounded, bitter, and total oxymoron known as the Chino Latino.
That's me.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I dated a Chino Latino once.
Oh, really?
He
A
wanted-
real one?
Yeah, he wanted to key my car and like do my taxes at the same time.
You
Because
just
what's math?
You know what? I kid you not. For living there for so many years, I took in the whole. Okay, well, first I'm beige
Where's the
or
story
I'm Latino. I want to make a buck, and then the Asian part, I want to keep the buck.
Oh.
So I ended up with both,
So you're a hardworking cheap ass.
and I can haggle so well now.
I need to keep you around because like I overspend like nobody's business. I don't even know what prices are like gum for $10.
You know how bad it is now. I go unit. I do the unit per, like price per unit. At the
Oh my
supermarket
God.
now. I learned that from there. I'm like, oh no, that's no.
Oh, see, and I like to spend money.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can
you-
relate.
You're like a foodie though. Like you spend it on like good quality like food.
I mean, or shoes.
Yes, or whatever.
Books, or,
Yeah.
I think you can never have enough of anything.
I'm with you. It's terrible.
Okay,
So-
Don't get me wrong.
you
I
know.
spend,
from
but
Joan
like
Ryan.
the little things, you know.
Joan Ryan hasn't been in a grocery store since like 1982 was the last time she actually went. I literally am not even lying because I love your refrigerator, but it's like you're like, oh, I didn't know. What is that? Milk comes in a carton now? Yes, girl.
I have discovered, here's a commercial, Instacart.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
love, I do it in New York. I never have to go to the market
Yeah.
there or here.
It's amazing. I just want them to take it in the house and bring it to you in bed for your hangover days. That's when I do it. I don't want to go to the
I've
store.
never tried it. I
No,
usually,
I
God.
actually do that for my family, so I don't feel guilty that I'm in New York most
Yeah.
of the time. They'll tell me what they need in the house, and then I go, oh, I'll go to the market on the computer, and then I go to
But see, I was
Instacart.
used to that in New York anyway, because all of the
They deliver.
D'Agostino, all of the
Yes.
places used to deliver because people were on foot.
That's right.
So it's sort of if you're here from the East Coast, it's really not such a foreign
No,
idea.
it's not.
You know, when I go shopping, I got so used to like overseas, because overseas everyone would fight. Not fight, you
Like
just
for
push
the fish,
your way. Like
they'd
you
be like,
push
that
your
fish
way.
is still moving. I want that
Yeah,
one.
that's mine.
Well, that
you
happens
call
at
it your way. It's
Fairway.
mine.
Yeah, that's fair. Survival
Fairway
of the
gives me
fittest.
Yeah.
Agita.
So I do it here
Yes.
sometimes. I'll go to the produce and I'll just push
push
someone,
people out of
and
way.
I'll grab the apple and I'll put it in my
What
bag.
grocery store are you at?
Whichever one's
Not
there.
Gelson's.
I was gonna say I haven't
Trader
seen that
Joe's?
at Gelson's or Bristol.
No.
No.
Oh no, that's too much.
At
money.
Trader Joe's,
might have
it's
to
all the
manage.
gays killing themselves over some of the stuff. You guys are talking about like high culture, like foods abroad and like New
I
York.
mean, so far
I'm
we've
like,
covered produce.
Yeah.
And I think
But
it's
it's
time
like-
to move on, Alexander.
in my childhood, I'm the one running to 7-Eleven 7-Eleven saying, like, can we make a gourmet meal from this? Dorito souffle.
There was a whole thing. What was it on when you buy sushi at 7-Eleven? Like you deserve to get salmonella or whatever it is.
I tried so I could lose weight, girl. I'm like, bring it on.
You know, that's a brilliant diet. You don't understand.
Yeah, but that weight doesn't stay off.
No, it doesn't. It'll stay off
Sick
for a few
weight
days.
is not a
For
good...
pilot season, though, it's fine.
It's brilliant. Give me that
Come on,
bread.
skinny mini.
You know what I tell people whenever I put on weight? I just tell people it's for a role.
Yes. A
I'm
dinner
not even
roll.
an actor.
A dinner roll, girl.
I don't even act, but in LA, nobody asks.
Yeah,
you
they
just
don't.
say everything's for a role.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
hair doesn't look good. It's for an audition.
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything's for a role.
That's a
out
good
here.
idea.
I'm going to use
It's an
that for my
excuse.
schizophrenia.
Somebody sees you out. You don't have your makeup on. I'm
That's
going
a
to an
good
audition.
idea.
They want no makeup.
You know, if I look silly and nasty, I always just say what my mom said. You were as slippery as a baby.
Oh.
I was like, what's wrong with you? I'm just a slippery baby. Just leave me alone.
Oh, okay.
And they go, oh, okay.
That sounds so sad. I don't. You just made me sad that your mother said
But
that
it
about
changed
you.
the subject, though, right?
Yes. Okay.
And speaking of like the energy, so you have great training in improv. You've done work at the Groundlings. In fact, you've worked with Sean Kerrigan, who's going to be on the show next month.
Yes.
What are the basics of improv? We know the Groundlings is the place to train, but like, what are the basics of improv?
Well, basically, it's know your who, what, where. You know,
Never say no.
never say no and always yes and
That's me on a Friday night in West Hollywood. Never say no.
I know, never say no. Right? Do you want to try this? Sure. What is that? Well, it's a syringe. Great.
But what if somebody gives you something that you just don't want to say yes to? Like, you're a ballerina in outer space, and you're just like, no.
Then
Well,
you get
you
fired.
don't have to say yes, but you can find some way to agree with it. It's just like, yo, it's so much easier to point with no gravity, you know? And they go, okay, great. Then you can go along with it.
Okay.
But it's like the whole thing is like the simple recipe is this. It's good to have the who, what, where. If someone says, for example, oh, you guys work at Subway. Okay, so the occasional person would be like, oh, I just love making sandwiches with you. Okay, that's when it's like, all right, it's interesting. But what makes good improv, it's not that they work at Subway. It what's make these two people interesting that they're in Subway, because that's what real life is. Like, I wouldn't be working with someone at Subway going, oh, my God, the way you fold that bologna, it's the best. Like, I love it. No, you go, you were wild last night. Oh, my God. The way you spread your legs when you saw that guy, crazy. Are you going to Juicy Fruits tonight? You know, it's like stuff like that. People go, okay, I get it.
So it's the conversation around the actual.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find that you use improv techniques in real life, like on dates, in dealing with family, friends? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
That's called lying.
Yes.
But in LA, we call it acting.
Yes.
See, look at this.
I were
We're all
15 minutes away. If I was in Kansas.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I do that. I go, oh, yeah, I'm right around the corner, and I'm still, like, brushing my teeth.
Does anybody ever be honest about that?
No, but
Hey,
don't
bitch,
we
I'm like an hour
always know?
late.
How many
No,
times
I'm
have
on
I called
time.
somebody to say I'm stuck in the canyon and I'm like 20 minutes from the canyon? There must be an accident in the canyon.
Girl, I know you're
if someone
so-
says that to me, I'd be like, you have reception in the canyon?
See? Yes. And you're like, yes, and.
And I have a
Yes.
feeling stuck in the canyon means something different to everyone at this table.
Yes. Oh.
Back in my day when I was...
But it's funny, but like, so Joan, because, you know, we've been friends for like a million years. You'll be late to like a paid, like one-on-one fitness training that's like an hour long or like a yoga session.
I hate those.
She'll show up 45 minutes late in her own house, by the way.
That sounds like a smart exercise strategy.
But she'll be there first for the audition or backstage for call time, whatever. But
I don't
I
like
never
to
said
normal.
exercise.
I don't
Because
either.
I do
I'm with
that-
you,
oh, I
Joan.
love
no, but I was at her house and the
Yes.
guy was literally there. He was with his fitness stuff, and we were waiting for Joan. She was in the office, tooling around. Her dogs are running around. 45 minutes. Are we done? Did we do well?
We had a good session today.
That's right.
How would you say the Asian entertainment culture differs the most from American entertainment culture? I'm sure there's
It's
many
a
differences.
lot more work.
More work?
A lot more work. I mean, when I first was working there was this whole lost in translation situation because it was a lot of the broken English.
Yeah.
We used to call it's a lot of open your ass and smell. I can say that, yeah?
Yes, I don't
Okay.
understand.
Yeah.
So
but-
they would
We
go like
have a
this.
Broadway
But do
World
you
winner
have
here.
to?
I know. That's what I thought when I first heard it because I was in front of the camera and they go, okay, please open your ass, look to camera, smell big, and shit on the floor. I'm like, what? What are you want me to what? And then I realized, open your eyes, smile big, look to the camera, and sit on the floor. So it's a lot
I'm so
of
dumb.
it's a lot of like hold paper shit here. Oh,
Yeah. It's like,
really?
no.
You want me to? Okay.
It's definitely lost in translation. And I love to follow direction because I don't want to get fired
or
from so many sets. But
or
but I would
like
too.
the scripts I've got. I did a couple of commercials, and they're just like, okay, you need to say this in English, and I was like, oh, okay. It was for a nut ad, and it was I'd say, how delicious! Don't you dare eat. But I didn't know how to properly.
Yes.
So it was a constant comedy for me. So I had blast with it, you know. But
There's like a web series in that somewhere. Like I know.
probably.
Yeah.
I would love it. I would sign me up if they had
Yeah.
one. I would love to be the translator. But it was a lot of work. I would have, for example, 5 shoots in 1 week, where it's like, okay, I have to fly to Beijing, then I have to go down to Hong Kong, and then I gotta go to Shanghai, and it was constant. You got to film this, and you got to film this way. Here's your script. It's 10 pages by tomorrow, and then you have
Wow.
another one. It's, hurry up and buy, basically. So it was basically boot camp for anything.
Because then you come here and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Oh my gosh, I came here for the first time when I came back, and I had a couple jobs, and I was sitting there, and it's like, oh, it's going to be a lot of work today. You're going to have like just 2 lines, or I had to do a shoot, and it's like, oh, just 5 suits, and I go, that's a lot of work here. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I had days when I had to do a shoots, and it was like for suits, and it would be 200 suits in 4 hours. Okay, let's go. Mm-hmm. Just constantly, like, it looked like I was having a seizure at one point because I'm running back and forth and trying to do hair and everything. But it's a lot of fun.
The biggest thing for me on sets that make me nervous is like changing in between sets because I like my own space and I don't know, is it going to be private? Are there going to be other people there? Like that makes me more anxious than like camera angles or like learning lines. Anyway, let's do something about that. All right, Adyr, you are here to help me interview
Yes.
our guest for tonight. Let's formally meet our guest. We are reintroducing Joan Ryan, winner of Broadway World's top female cabaret artist. Her 4-octave range led to a recent appearance at famed Carnegie Hall, followed by a performance at Lincoln Center. Starring roles include Little Shop of Horrors, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Footloose.
Ooh, that's a nice cereal.
That's the Asian version.
Shut up and eat your Fruit Loaf.
Les Miserables, Nonsense, Triumph of Love, among many others. She also originated the role of Judy Denmark and Ginger Delmarco in Ruthless, for which she was costumed by Bob Mackie and immortalized in a caricature by the legendary artist Hirschfeld. Her self-titled debut solo record remains a best-selling album, and television audiences know her from her role as crazy art teacher Tina Palladrino on Saved by the Bell. And also as like a therapist, right, on Young and the
Oh,
Restless?
geez, yes. I was their resident therapist for a couple of years. And
Oh, wow.
so anytime somebody was, in trouble or
You mean in the
raped
storyline or
in
for
Young
the
and the
performers?
Restless. No.
On the show? Yeah.
Because I used to work in soaps, and I can tell you it wouldn't hurt any of them
No.
to have.
Yeah.
No, I was
To
their
have a resident
resident therapist, but I knew that my days as a therapist were coming to the end because one storyline was this poor woman. And they liked me, I guess, because they wanted me to come back, but they didn't want the audiences to know it was me. So they put me in a red wig and glasses.
Oh,
and
that'll
I said,
do it.
why don't you just give me a mold to like complete the picture? But
Because there's no willing suspension of disbelief otherwise.
nothing.
Yeah.
I,
Fun
it was,
days
and
had.
it was so bad for my ego because all these beautiful women would come and
Yeah.
they'd do their makeup. They would do my makeup and then they'd plop this ugly red wig and glasses. But I knew my days were coming to an end because the woman that had been attacked and was catatonic. Little by little, that was great because I had all the lines. But little by little, she started to get her voice back.
She came back, yeah.
She came back.
okay.
So every time she's like, hello? Hello?
Like, is this Adele?
Hello?
Yeah.
No, I remember when I worked on Guiding Light, they love. I mean, everybody loved to play coma because
All those
it was like,
pages, and you're like,
they're
it's
like,
easy,
they
yeah.
finish a big storyline, put them in
Coma's
a
good.
coma. They're like, 2 weeks off.
I used to look through hoping I didn't have a lot of lines. I literally would.
Good luck. Because half of it's exposition from the day before.
And it was too close. They wanted it exactly right. And everything would be like, do you remember anything, Amy? And then the next day it would be, Amy, do you remember anything? Those Those were hard to learn.
About the third
You know
day.
what's interesting is like people do like it's easy to laugh at soaps and I'll be the first one to do it, but I will say, especially for actors, it really
great
is a
training
crash course.
It is.
in knowing. I mean,
That's
I mean,
right.
there's nothing like that now. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to know 20 pages a day, 25 pages a day
That's
of
right.
dialogue.
It's crazy.
And it's a lot of work that goes into it, creating an hour of TV a day.
And it allows you to really learn how to act really well because you have to take. That's why a lot of people that started in soaps are so
Yes.
good.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's
that is
so
very
many
true.
people
Moment
who
to
came
moment
from
to
that,
moment,
yes.
or
We've
you
had a
look
number of
back.
them, and they say that everybody in Hollywood should have to work on a
Yes,
soap at least.
absolutely.
Next
That's
week
right.
we're
It's like boot camp.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next week we're interviewing SAG winner Caroline Aaron. She's right
Oh,
now
she's fabulous.
at the fabulous Mrs. Maisel.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know she's worked with Woody Allen, Tim Burton. She's worked with so many different directors, and she's one of the best experiences was on a soap.
That's right.
Because
Yes.
it keeps you on your toes. You have to communicate,
true.
and you have to memorize all this. And she's
That's right.
that's what
And there's
kept her-
there's no net, and it has to be done in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
In the early day.
some episodes for telenovela called Telaraña de Amor.
Telenovelas
Long
are a
time
whole
ago.
different
I
world.
think I
girl.
But
missed
it's
that
the
one.
same. It's like you'll be playing the doctor's assistant, and then I come in. It's like actually we like you better as the guy. Okay, so fine, and they give you like a whole stack. And
Yeah,
it's like we
and
have
you
4
have to
takes.
cry
Let's go.
It's
throughout this
tough.
whole thing. Joan has also been featured as a performer on the Today Show, the Tonight Show, and numerous guest starring roles. In fact, Jay Leno, he came to your house, or yeah.
He did come to my
Yeah.
house. That was my children are still mortified by that episode. However,
And the Today Show, they had you singing outside in the freezing winter cold, and it was like what? Like your call time was like 5 in the morning.
oh, it was crazy. I had to sing. Yeah, my call time, and
Yeah.
it was pouring rain. It's the first time I ever had an umbrella holder. That
Oh,
was
wow.
really fun. I could get used to that. I had somebody
those
holding the
notes.
umbrella while I sang.
Those notes you hit in the cold.
Where
was
was
this
that
at?
for?
Yeah.
What were you promoting?
You know what? It was promoting. I actually sang one of the songs from my album. Was Scott Hamilton found one of the songs on my album? I do just a big Broadway version of "Shall We Dance," and then they had 2 Olympic gold medalists skate to it, which was pretty great. And so they had us do that outside. They were skating in Rockefeller Center, and I was singing, and it was really fun to do it
beautiful.
live because they rolled me out. Well, they didn't. I didn't roll, but they rolled a carpet out so that I could literally sing in the middle of the ice at Madison. Was it Madison Square Garden or Nassau? It was one of those huge.
It was right in the middle of everything.
But they had me right in the. It was really
Oh wow!
exciting.
So it was right in the rink, and people were
In the
going,
rink, and it was so scary because I thought every time I hit a big note, I thought it was gonna like shake them and they would fall.
But the
over.
Today Show was to promote that. Got it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. In
It was
fact,
exciting.
it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
She's also performed in variety shows with Jason Alexander, Steve Carell, Forrest Whitaker, Eric McCormick. I got to see Eric and Joan perform Suddenly Seymour, which was so fun. Her voice has been heard on Grace and Frankie, Criminal Minds, Superstore Heroes, and Smash, among many, many others. She was featured at the Hollywood Bowl in Leonard Bernstein's Mass. Ask her about her shoe story from that performance. It's one of my favorite Joan Ryan stories. Louis Vuitton is involved. It's such a good story. She was honored to have performed the national anthem for the Lakers and the Harlem Globetrotters Trotters at the Staples Center. Her recent return to New York City with her one-woman show, Joan Ryan Live, has been met with both critical and public acclaim and continues to sell out around the country. I'm so excited to have her back. She's going to appear with the Skivvies, by the way. We're so lucky to have them at Laguna Playhouse December 16th and
They're
17th.
amazing. Do you know them?
the skivvies.
Oh my gosh, they are
amazing.
so
They're
fabulous.
Very talented.
Go. I'm
All
going.
right.
Go.
They
And
each
there's a
play
gay bar down
10
the street.
instruments. They each do, and the first thing they do and they're beautiful. They come out
Gorgeous.
and they take off their clothes. I mean, they're not naked, but they do this
Yeah.
whole and they're
close to
hysterically
naked.
funny.
Yeah.
And no, and my daughter goes, "Are you gonna be naked?" I said, "No, don't worry, I will not." I mean, they're not naked. I said, "I'm sure I'll be in
Usually
some
they're just in their
fabulous-
underwear.
And they're in
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
in their skivvies, but I'll be in some fabulous. I'll have to go find some fabulous.
Although I have seen a few where, like, when they'll have
Broadway Bears when they do something there.
when
they?
they'll have like Nick Adams and he's down to like a thong.
Well, they write somebody's phone number on one of the rear ends of one of the performers
Oh,
because it's
gee.
one of their songs, and they usually do it to the guest star. They'll write their phone number on your.
They
Oh,
will
wow.
not be doing that.
It's so
John's
fun.
like, that won't be
I wanna
happening
do
in
that.
Laguna.
Yeah, come see the show. I think I'm
Yeah.
going to come on the 16th.
Fantastic.
You know what?
Howard
If
will
you
be-
do
my
it-
whole family will be there.
Add my number. Just give them my number so my number can be on their skivvies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'll be getting all these
It's
weird
a
calls.
number.
Hello.
No, it's good.
Who's there?
The Skivvies are great, and they have top Broadway performers that join
They're
them for every
amazing.
show. So
They've got a
what
great lineup for this
What
one.
great company. They're so lucky to have you. Joan is in rehearsal for her new show, which will premiere at New York's Green Room 42 on March 7th. I think that's going to be a trip. You are always in New York when I'm not there,
I
and then the
can't
minute I
believe
get
that.
there, you're like, I just landed in LA.
Terrible.
It's literally to the day.
It's terrible. And I know you're a big Patty fan, and when I did
Not
my
anymore. We have to talk. Oh. She's out.
You know, the funny thing is that when I did my show at Berlin in New York, she was doing her show. She did her 70th birthday party the same night, which I thought was very rude. But I thought
competition. Hey, when she sings Meadowlark, we're like, we know it dies. When you sing Meadowlark, it's like, what's gonna happen?
Do you split your time? Would you say you're completely bi-coastal, or
completely
are you
bi-coastal because I have a family here,
right?
And my mom is 92 and a half. I don't like to leave for too long, but I miss my family when I'm not here. So I try to time it so I'm here for important things and then I'm back. But it is a little schizophrenia is producing, because for me, New York is so expansive, and I'm out every night, and I'm doing things and singing every night and going to places. And then I come here, and I had to learn that it's really just a place for me to recharge, because my community is there, but my family is here. So here is recharging, and there I get to.
And when LA is where you recharge, that's a problem. When LA is where you go to feel better.
Exactly.
But it is true, like you said, the pace is different, especially in the theater world. Theater world's like, okay, let's do a show. Hey, you want to put on a show tonight? Let's do it. And everybody is to that working condition, whereas LA is like, I need to prepare. I need to know in advance. I need to know
theater
all
people,
of
it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
Theater people is like,
there.
it's an attitude. It's an ethic. Everything about
That's
it is
what it is.
different.
It is a lot
Here
different compared to.
the work is not the same. It's performing, but filmed entertainment is entirely different than stage performance. It's a whole different skill.
And that's interesting, because I sang in someone's show, and my friend, who's now one of my closest friends, and actually his brother is also there, the twins, Anthony and Will Nunziata.
Oh, I love them.
Will is directing my new show.
Oh, he's
incredible.
He's great.
And Anthony came up to me. I didn't know the difference
so
between
cute,
the two
by
guys.
the way.
So cute.
Yeah.
And he said, I have some work for you. And then he said, this was after I sang, and he goes, I have a show. I have something for you. And then he said, and by the way, you're not in LA, so I really mean it. And he did. He called me the next week and hired me for something. So it was kind of amazing. So yeah.
And it really has to do with that you're so passionate about your skills. Some people in LA want to be an actor just to be famous, or for the followers, or for whatever. You know this so well.
Right.
A Broadway person will get up at a hole-in-the-wall piano bar and sing their top
because
song.
it's really their craft that's important to them. It's not
Josh.
if they become, the fame is a symptom of the talent.
Yeah,
basically,
it is.
As opposed to here where people want the fame.
Right.
It's like it goes in the other direction. And here you can be famous for having no talent.
Oh yeah. You know,
That
I
doesn't
always
work in New
notice
York.
too, because a lot of people who are performers, I see the passion and the love in it. Like, I do this because I love it. I don't go up there and act like little Edie and go, "You're all gonna love me," you know.
I do.
I kind of.
I mean, it would be great, you know. It's just walking in. I love you. Oh, thank you. Actually, I would say you're welcome.
Yeah,
but you're welcome.
You're welcome.
You know what's amazing, though? The difference, and that's really interesting. I live across the street from Lincoln Center. I mean, I live in an amazing, so I go out and I feel it and I see it. We're so close. But so you see all the actors walking to their shows at 6:30, and they're dressed so schlumpy. And I thought, you would not see that in LA. You'd see somebody all put together. But there, it's really about the work and it's the transformation. So they can put on a pair of sweats and walk down the street and, you know.
And I love that,
that's
though. Just
absolutely
pairing where
true.
that's my favorite thing to do. Just walk in.
You guys, we haven't even started the show. We have such great conversation.
Oh, we haven't started yet.
I think you know it's a good show when you can't even get through the introduction.
No, because this is why I put us all together. We all have such different stories in the entertainment field, and that's why the theme is divas who storytell. One of my favorite diva storytellers, Josh Sabarra, whether you know it or not, you've likely been touched in a perfectly legal, appropriate way by Josh's work on some level or another.
Never illegal.
Becoming a part of the entertainment industry at a possibly young age. He's been there, done that, rubbed elbows and more, read his book, with about every celebrity you can think of. He served as a senior vice president for A&E and Lifetime Networks, responsible for the successful launches of series such as Project Runway, Sony's hit comedy drama Drop Dead Diva. With New Line Cinema, he spearheaded campaigns for blockbuster films, including Lord of the Rings, Elf, The Notebook, Wedding Crashers, and Hairspray. And at Miramax Films, he handled... I'm tired of screaming. And at Miramax, he handled a variety of special projects and film awards campaigns, including Kill Bill, Station Agent, and Cold Mountain. And prior to his role at Miramax, he was a director at Warner Brothers. He oversaw campaigns for the Harry Potter franchise, also Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Giant. But he began with Walt Disney Company. He worked on theatrical publicity campaigns for Hercules, Mulan, Armageddon, Toy Story 2, and The Sixth Sense, among many others. When I say he started young, I mean he started young. Love those Hallmark and Lifetime movies. He's probably produced some of them. Look for his cameo in one of this season's Hallmark's films, which I love. If that wasn't enough, he penned his best-selling memoir, Porn Again, detailing his eccentric childhood, his coming out, late coming out, I might add, his early career in Hollywood, and his relationships, special appearances by major names in Hollywood, but it's not a tell-all. It's a tell it like it is, which is a little bit softer, a little bit nicer, which we will discuss. A book was well received with standing room only events at Barnes & Noble's flagships across the nation. His follow-up book, because, he doesn't like to sleep, apparently, Enemies Closer, is a work of fiction, or is it, about the two faces of Hollywood, both of which can kiss his...
I want to read both of them.
I want to read both.
Yes, it's good. Please welcome Josh Sabarra.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. But I have so many questions for Joan.
We're going to get to it all. I just want to start off. You both are storytellers. Like I said, with the pen, with your keyboard, however you write, and you with sung words and through songs that have been written that you've made into your own stories. I've seen many formations of your one-woman show, and each time it's just so different. But I want to know, what are some of the first stories that you remember that inspired you, whether it was a fairy tale, and I'm talking about young, like a story, they're like, oh, I remember that story, because essentially that's what we're all doing.
Yeah.
Oh, is this for Joan or for me?
It's for both, because you're both storytellers. Did you tune in, tune out halfway during my
No, but you were looking at Joan, so I was, I
have a cross-eyed problem.
What about me?
It was inspiring to me. I don't know. I mean, I was sort of like precociously interested in movies that I shouldn't have been. Like, you might notice that I'm wearing a Flashdance T-shirt from 1980.
I love that.
I love that.
So
I had to
much.
beg
That's
my
a great
parents
movie.
to let me see, and I would just hound them until they finally said, "Shut up, see the movie." So, but I guess that's not even any more strange than the fact that she was like 18 and welding. She was basically a child steel welder.
That is really true. I remember that. If I go back
Like, if
and
you
look
go
at
back
that.
and watch the movie, it's insane.
Yeah, but entertainers got to do what they got to do.
That's right.
But I have to say, like, it was those movies, like the things in the 80s that I really shouldn't have been at.
Like Working Girl.
Flashdance, Fame. Well, Working Girl I was already in high school, I think, by Working Girl.
You're aging yourself.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm very open about all of that. I'm middle-aged, but
Good.
I definitely. Well, there's a addiction to plastic surgery chapter in.
Oh,
in
I
the
have a
book.
whole section. In fact, we got some questions. By the way.
Definitely, I think that's sort of what got me interested. Like, I was just like a pop culture fanatic from the time I could walk. And just like precociously so, like always the kinds of movies that I should not have been seeing Flashdance at 7. Probably.
But what I love about Porn Again, this is why I responded, I never got along with kids my own age. I never understood them. I didn't like watching cartoons. That just wasn't what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I watch cartoons now, which is funny.
Yeah, actually, I think I talk about this in the book. I talk about in kindergarten, like I would talk to only teachers. I would only adults.
I spent my lunches with hanging out with
and
teachers.
I would be
know
talking
you did too.
about Fame. Or
And so it was those kind of
things
stories.
that were, not.
I didn't know English when I was a kid.
Interesting.
Wow.
So did you learn English from stories?
As I got older, when I was actually Gem and the Holograms and G.I. Joe.
Wow.
Well, if you're going to learn English somewhere.
That's a good place to learn
G.I.
it.
Joe is the best. I mean, knowing is half the battle. You could say that anywhere you go. Yeah.
And
But,
I
you know,
wanted
it's-
to be all their best
It's
friends.
funny, you do
Yeah.
hear a lot of people who say that they learned, people who come to
That's
this country
right,
who learn
from
English
television.
from TV.
Yep.
In fact, there's a line in Enemies Closer where somebody goes up to an actress in a restaurant and says, I learned English by watching your show. And that actually happened to somebody I know. And she was terribly offended by the
Why?
fact that that's how they... I don't know.
I think
Right,
that's
I would
really
find it
cool.
offensive.
I
Yeah,
love when
frankly.
people say
I
stuff
would-
like that.
Yeah.
Not offensive. I would be honored.
Right. I agree.
You know?
But this particular person was not.
And I read that in your book, and I thought, I'm going to learn another language. Rosetta be damned. So I'll turn on, because now we have access to any channel. I'm like,
Right.
I'm going to watch French for a week. like an hour in, I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're saying. How is this gonna work? Like, have you guys ever done that?
No, but I
I
know.
listen to the French station on Sirius Radio so that I can, because I used to speak
Well,
French.
immersion
my
is the
new-
way.
Yeah, my new addiction is 60s French pop. And I listen to it nonstop. I don't know why. I don't know why.
That's another life, probably,
Yeah.
another lifetime.
60s. I've never heard. Oh wait, you know what?
60s pop, French pop is amazing.
Dominique.
That's it. That literally plays on. In fact, I favorite it.
Do you know what that makes me think of? And everyone's gonna
Airplane.
laugh at me.
Debbie Reynolds.
Mermaids with Cher, where they play that in the
Well,
the singing nun
Debbie
is
Reynolds,
on
yeah.
is in
Yes.
Mermaids, makes a guest appearance.
I had that in my background for my TikTok for my Halloween costume.
You are so good. But Joe, what was one of the first stories that inspired you?
Well, not only, I think I'm a pretty nice person, and I remember, and who would do this to a child that was done with such love, but you guys probably don't remember Grimm fairy tales?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so
I
there
have
was
the
a
book.
Grimm fairy tale in which there was two princesses, and I always thought I was a princess, and one princess didn't give her food to like the beggar woman, and so then she started talking and snakes came out. So because of that, I have snake phobia, and I'm very nice because I don't want snakes coming out of my mouth. But it really affected me because I thought,
Yeah.
oh my God, I guess you have to really, I mean, my family was nice, but I'm not kidding. I never thought about that till just now.
But it really does,
It
and
affects
just
you.
like you
I
said,
never brought my kids up with those because they were just plain scary.
But I've seen you interact with people of all different states of whether they're in theater or not, and I've seen you, and you do have initially this let's be kind to everybody. And I don't think we realize how much these early stories really form us. My first story was Billy Groat's Gruff and the troll that wouldn't let them.
Yes.
My first thought was like, if there's three of them and one of him, why are they letting him stop them from what they need to do? And
See, you make
hello.
these decisions. But, my father was always like that. My father always used to say, it doesn't matter if somebody is cleaning your house or you be the same way to a ticket taker at the movie theater as you are to the person that owns the theater. And that was my dad. He was,
My
and you
mom
learn
taught
that
me
in
the same thing.
and you
learn
learn
that
that
as a kid.
in theater, especially. You be kind to the person calling places to everything because
Absolutely.
they could ruin a performance for you.
or the person
Oh, yeah.
playing the piano for your audition. That is like number one. You
But
can't
even
be.
not even being nice not to get something, not
Of course.
for not
Right,
for a
right,
result,
but
but like
of
I
course.
think people
Yeah.
need to have a little more compassion. I think that's something that we've sort of lost these days. I'm guilty. I mean, I think
Absolutely.
we've all been guilty of it at one
We've
time
also
or
been
another.
burned, too.
But I think
Yeah.
it's important to see what somebody else has in their background and understand where they're coming from. I mean, people I don't think are just bad. I think that when people behave a certain way, for the most part, there's something there. There's
I agree.
something
Everybody's
and
behind it.
everybody
fighting
has
their
their story,
own
whether
battle.
it's the worst villain, and every actor says you don't play a villain like a villain because they have a background too.
That's right.
Storytelling. One of my favorite stories that Joan Ryan has made her own, that is performed all over the place. Joan has come out, not in the way you would think.
Wait a minute. What?
This is a whole
Wow.
different show than I expected.
This is your intervention with people you've never met before.
She has you beat now on the
Yeah.
link coming out.
I want to play a little, and this is a small section of a piece that was created with Joan that kind of dictates her whole addiction to life. She's addicted to one thing, not this Kurt, the other one. There you go. And this is kind of...
Was that Titus?
Yeah, we're going to play Titus. But this is, Joan Ryan comes clean. She loves belters. And so we're going to play just a little snippet of one of my favorite pieces created for Joan Ryan. Go ahead, Kurt.
Everything's beautiful at the ballet. Raise your arms and someone's always there. Yes, everything was beautiful at the ballet. At the ballet. And oh my God, she wasn't just going for a D. She wasn't just going for a C. She was going for an E natural. I needed Patty LaPone as a sponsor. Everything was beautiful at the ballet, at the ballet, at the ballet.
E natural. Yes, girl.
Wow, what a voice.
You knew there was an E natural?
Yes.
Which is why I needed to be here today. My name is Joan, and I'm
I try to keep it between 3.5 octaves now, and I take it one note at a time. I even find serenity in lullabying my beautiful daughters to sleep. Rock-a-bye, baby, another treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the power breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come my daughters are going to need a lot of therapy.
I love that piece.
Wow.
And it's funny, when actors are lowering keys to their songs, you're just belting them left and right. We have talked about your career the last couple of times you've been on the show, so I don't want to go over that again. We had a great episode with Dennis Haskins, who of course played Mr. Belding in Saved by the Bell. We talked about all those early years, and that was so much fun. But I want to talk a little bit about behind the scenes. Women in entertainment, it's a big buzzword right now, and how women have gotten where they are, how we should pay more attention to those stories. Your career was up on the rise, and then motherhood came to play a role, so to speak.
And it was so satisfying to me that I turned down so many things because I didn't want to leave for too long. So that's one of the main reasons that I'm actually in New York now, is because I didn't want to go. I loved being home, and I worked all over on the West Coast, but I turned down many things in New York. So it's...
Well, and that's one of the questions is, I'm not sure that I would have taken that path, because you're on a certain trajectory and you want to continue, and that's a big decision to make. How did you come to that decision? Was it just like natural, okay, this is what I'm doing, or?
Well, I worked the whole time, though. I didn't stop working, and I had a really, really lucrative voiceover business. So I didn't want to go out of town for, whatever that was, for $400 a week, when I could have done that in a minute, doing a voiceover. So I had a looping career that afforded me I had a company that allowed me to be there when my kids were there, and I have great kids. And I sang. I did shows. I sang all over the country, but I didn't take a long-running show in New York, which was on my bucket list. Yeah. So that's my goal for this next year. And I did a lot of television, so that kept me on the West Coast. But a couple years ago, someone said to me, your being in L.A. is like a fisherman who doesn't live near water. So it's time. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is my husband and I always knew that the minute our youngest left the house, we knew it was our turn for me to go. It was my turn. Because I don't feel like I sacrificed anything, because I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go a second earlier. But I couldn't really tell the truth about it because it was kind of frowned upon. So things would happen and I would get a call back, and all of a sudden I'd have pink eye. Or, you can't really say, gee.
You don't want people to think you're out of the game.
That's right. Or that I didn't want it. And it was always torturous. And I thought, something's wrong with me if I'm tortured when I get a call back. Mm-hmm. That's not the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I knew that a callback would take me. And I remember I did a show at the Old Globe, and it was really funny because at the time I had a housekeeper, Sarita, Sarita, and they put us up in this apartment that was kind of gross, and I had a 10-month-old at the time and a 4-year-old, so I would have the housekeeper bring them down, and we'd close the curtain so nobody would know I really had somebody there cleaning the house. I didn't want to not look like an actress. I didn't want to look like I wasn't a team player, but I put the curtains. I say, don't tell anybody you're cleaning for me.
Girl.
But
I would love to say that.
Well,
I don't want anyone to know that I hire someone to clean.
I don't really have any shame about that,
but
frankly.
see, you know what?
And
it
I
was
love it.
when
Yeah.
you start out as an actor, you
Right.
want to fit in. You don't want people to think something
Right.
or, So,
But everybody wants that level of success, but then they want to hide the level of success so that
I'm
we're all
tortured.
we're part of the group.
Because there's certain connotations, especially here in LA. If somebody has a clean service, oh God, then they're stuck up, or they're this, or they're not, one of the people.
But they might just be efficient about how they're using their time.
Well, that's a good way
Exactly.
to look at it. But literally,
don't
I
clean,
was in
it's
this
fine.
apartment that was so broken down that I'm thinking, I mean, there was no closet doors, but I was being an actress. I like that part. There were no closet doors. There was like a blanket over the closet. And I thought, okay, this is for 3 months. But it was San Diego. So I went home, every weekend, or my
Yeah.
husband would bring the kids to me. So that was doable. But it was the faraway ones I didn't want to do for too long.
You guys, I forgot to take our first break. Kurt, I'm so sorry. We're going to take our On the Rocks mid-show selfie that you can see on Instagram at On the Rocks on air. I need you guys to scoop in. You too, Josh. Ah. Perfect. Okay. And we're back.
Wow, what a great
Long break.
Wow.
Seriously.
Josh, we talked about your extensive resume, and it sounds ridiculous because it's so extensive.
It's amazing.
It is, yeah.
The pictures that we're showing during the show are you and Oprah and
Oh, okay.
Denzel and Cher, every A-lister, and you
Okay.
got into it at such an early age. What was the most positive thing about getting into the industry at such a young age, and what was the most negative things about having to go through that at such a young age?
I think the positives were, you meet a lot of interesting, creative people. You meet a lot of talented people. It's sort of inspiring. I think the negatives are, I was working in Hollywood, and I was somebody who was struggling with my sexuality, struggling with my self-esteem, and the last place you should be looking for self-esteem is Hollywood.
Yes, you
I agree
think?
with you on
And
that.
so, I did it early, and I turned sort of a hobby and a passion into a career. And then the turning point for me was when I realized that really wasn't good for me. It wasn't healthy. It was something I enjoyed as a audience member. Like, I want to clap for Joan, but I don't want to be in that. You know what I mean? Like, I can appreciate her talent, but I don't need to be in the middle of it. Because
That's
not
great
as much
that
with
you knew that.
not as well. It took time to get there,
And that's tough
but
because
not
you've got
as
the
much
money
with
coming in, you have the
theater. I mean, I
glamour.
use that as an example, but more the filmed side,
Sure.
the TV, and you've done both, so you know. But it's seemingly glamorous. I mean, people see those quick clips on Entertainment Tonight of flashes and somebody getting out of a car and whatever. If people knew what goes into that 60 seconds of television, the sweat and the nightmares and the phone calls and the clothing disasters and the things that just aren't even important, like weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's just it's a grind, and it's just, for me, it wasn't healthy.
And what I love about your book is you do talk about some charming stories with some of the
Yeah.
celebrities,
Yes.
like the whole Anne Bancroft and
Yes,
which
which was funny. I mean, that whole thing was ridiculous.
and Mel
and
Brooks
funny.
calling it, but it's so
Yeah.
intimate. And then there's stories from other people that are not quite so
Right.
nice.
Well, that was really the point of telling the two sides of it,
Yeah.
because you see the moments that are really, affecting, and then you see the moments that are so negatively affecting, and you can't pick. You don't get to cherry pick the experiences.
That's
so,
amazing.
you
Yeah.
have to figure out like what really works for you. And what I realized was that didn't really work for me.
Then you hit the writing market,
Yeah.
the literary world,
Yeah.
and not only do you say, who the hell is this writer?
Yeah.
And then it's a memoir. It's like, oh, what stories you
Yeah,
got, girl?
yeah.
And you read it, you're like, oh, this boy got stories. But that
We
that
never
itself-
I never expected that book to be what it was.
Was that your first book?
Yeah.
Well,
I
oh,
can't
okay.
wait
Yeah,
to
I mean,
read it.
for
I'm
me,
so
that was like
excited.
it felt like a very personal thing.
Very personal.
And-
You were naked in so many different ways.
Yeah, but I didn't even, when I was writing it, I felt like I was like that. Even when I see it now, like people will say to me, "Can't believe you talked about that." I can't believe. Even my sister will say things like that. I don't even see it as myself. Like, I think of it as another person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's trapped in those pages, and I feel like I almost needed to do that to move on. Like, I almost needed to contain that
Like a
part of my
rebirth.
life,
Yeah.
and then move on literally and
To complete
figuratively to
it.
the next
Yeah.
chapter. But it's tough. But like I thought, a few people will, maybe some people will relate to it. I didn't realize how many people would find themselves in the pages, because while it is a coming out story, it's really for anybody who's ever felt different in any way. Maybe your disability has been an issue for you. Maybe your weight has been an issue for you. Maybe there are 9 million things that people look at that people see as differences, and differences should be celebrated, in my opinion, not, picked apart. And I think more people found themselves in there than thought they would.
Well, and that is true, and it's laced with humor, but there's also big themes like there's suicide is a part of it, and physicality, like
Yes.
you mentioned, and we all have issues with how we look, whether we look amazing or not look amazing, or what we think is amazing.
Right.
We have hot buttons such as now we're supposed to celebrate racial diversity, we're supposed to celebrate gender equality, body positivity,
Right.
ageism, whether it's music, stage, or film. Do you guys think it's actually really improving, or is it just a Hollywood buzzword?
I mean, I think there's a lot of talk about inclusivity, but yet at the same time, there's this strange tendency now to over-label. So people don't know what they can say, what they can't say, I think we're making people scared to open their mouths.
Oh, I
and
agree.
I think that's difficult territory. The other thing, and this is just my opinion, is like when you look at these issues that you're talking about, such as equality and people look at it on the surface, like all of the stories yesterday, the Golden Globe nominations came out, and the headlines were all, again, no female directors nominated. Now, that's not really a Golden Globes issue. That's not really an Academy issue. That's a systemic issue with Hollywood. The women aren't being given the jobs. That's the problem. If we were handing more people who are deserving and are talented the opportunity to direct these movies, they would have the nominations. The problem isn't really just, to me, that the Academy or the voting members aren't inclusive of women or aren't inclusive of African Americans. The work isn't there, and everybody needs to be given the work. So the problem is really underneath all of this, in my opinion.
I'll tell you, though, that I do think on a very strong level, because I see it, because I have 3 daughters, their generation, at least, is so different. It's amazing.
Oh
Their
my
language
gosh.
is different.
Their
Everything
language-
is
but
different.
I mean, they are so, at least my girls are so inclusive. And I think I'm pretty good, but if I say one little thing incorrectly, they are the first ones to say no. Like if I'm talking about somebody and I don't, like a friend of my daughter's, and I don't say they and I say he, she's like, no, it's they. And, you have to give people our age a minute to adjust.
To understand.
To
yes.
understand but so I do think that if they're raised right, but even if they're not raised right, if in the culture, that at least in California anyway, in New York, that this generation is much more open, is what I see.
I agree
So
with
I
that.
feel
It's about
like-
having that
Definitely.
conversation. Like you're having a conversation
That's right.
with your daughters. Like I mentioned, Caroline Aaron is on the show next week, and we talked about that because she has her own comments about the Me Too movement and certain terms that she's comfortable using, such as they. And she's like, it's not like I want to be mean. I just don't know. But
That's
don't
right.
Don't
That's
yell at me
exactly
because I
right.
don't know.
I don't know myself either, because I've had patrons come in, and I've actually had one person yell at me once. I would rather be called they, and I was like, I didn't.
You have to know, but I think
I
that
was
it's okay
speechless.
for everybody to
There's
be
a learning
sensitive
curve.
because we have a learning curve, or people have a learning curve. So I think it takes.
Right, and we have to understand that there are people of different generations who are, you're learning about things. We're all learning about certain things, and we're more aware now. And I think people are willing and open, but we have to be considerate and understanding of where people are coming from.
Sometimes with my mouth, though, because I have a tendency to just grab whatever comes to my thought.
'Cause you're an improv
Yeah, and I just
person.
say it out
Yeah,
loud.
That's exactly right.
And I get scared on some occasions. Like I've gotten in trouble performing on stage because I've said some things that offended somebody, and I go, okay, well, what did I say?
Yes.
What's going
Plus,
on?
you're-
And
you're-
it's
you're a
really
comedian.
scary. Yeah.
But
from
see,
a
we're
positive
also in a
place.
culture
Yeah.
now where, people are, everything is a lightning rod, and I think to some degree it has taken. It's hard on the entertainment community in a way, because we're now editing ourselves. We're being extremely careful. I mean, look at somebody like Joan Rivers, who I think is a voice that is so missed.
Yes, absolutely.
So much.
The red carpets are so boring now. Do you remember
So
we used
boring.
to turn on the TV at 5 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
just to see the comments, and now we're like,
That's right.
boring.
Right, but she had a certain style about her, and it was so un-PC. And so things that, you
But
know.
it wasn't malicious.
No, and I think people have to look at that and look at the intent and you know, I think we need to adjust our sensitivities a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I think there's room for everything if it's.
You know, I had a comedian tell me once, he was just like, it's harder to do comedy now because we are the ones that say things that can offend somebody really quick. We're trying to get some people to laugh, and sometimes we have to shock people to get to that point. But he's like, the problem is now is we got what we wanted, so what do we fight for? So we're picking and choosing new things to fight for.
And we're fighting our own niches as well. I know the LGBT community was fighting with each other. It's like, hey guys, we're not even where we should be as a full community. We had Margaret Cho on a couple of months ago, and she said, you know, people are asking, is it PC? Is it appropriate? She says, number one should be, is it funny?
Yeah,
Right.
that's the whole point.
We've heard every Trump joke. We've heard every, you know, gay joke. We've heard every fat joke.
Right.
Is it funny and original? That should be the first thing
That's
in
right.
comedy. And I want to talk to you about Broadway. You know, Broadway has always had strong women roles.
Yes,
We've
that's
had
the thing. I
even
don't feel
classic-
any ageism there. It is actually incredible. It's amazing. I did, when I sang at Carnegie Hall, I had somebody there who's now my amazing manager. Her name is Serena. And, you know, you would think, coming from LA, but there's nothing. She's so excited about the talent, and I just feel it's so different there. I don't fight, because you have to have talent. I think you have to have
Right.
talent if you're actually going to go the distance and be able to sustain something on Broadway. So
Well, I mean, that's what I always say is the truth of somebody's talent.
8 shows a
is,
week,
Can
live.
they do 8 shows a week?
Yeah.
You know,
I'll do 10, 20. China taught me well, honey.
I have seen,
Let's do
I've
it.
seen every film star in a play.
have you?
And let me tell you, that's where the difference. I mean, there are
Yeah.
people who are they're great in a certain medium
Yes.
and not great in another.
Yeah.
I mean, let me
Nene
just
Leakes in
say-
Chicago. I don't know
Well,
that
I
we
mean,
need
that's
them.
not
The Countess.
She's not an
Yeah.
actress.
That's right.
So,
Nene Leakes
Joan-
is Chicago. I remember.
Yeah. And Joan, so I actually got this question. We have a lot of what are called outsiders coming to Broadway and to the musical scene, cabaret. We have reality stars on stage. We have musicals pretty much
I
now
know where you're going.
based on movies. We have jukebox musicals now. What is your take as a performer that has seen different stages? What is your take on this new idea of what musical theater is?
Well, I still think that the talent is the talent. I mean, I'm so excited by everything I see. I mean, there's some things that I'm tortured, and I always say, I'm not really good at straight plays, so whoever goes with me, if they're on this side, that's the eye I keep open, because I always inevitably fall asleep. But I'll tell you, I did.
You guys, I love Joan Ryan so much.
You got me on that one. I was like, okay.
If you're on this side, I sleep with this eye closed because I can't help it. And if you're on this side, but it's the truth because I cannot stay awake.
Yeah.
It's too quiet and it's too slow, and I just can't. But I'll tell you, I did, and this is kind of a funny anecdote. I was asked to sing with the Countess of New York. I don't know if you or Beverly Hills, I guess.
Countess de Lesseps.
Countess.
Real Housewives
You
of
mean
New York.
Luann.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Okay.
Luann and Kurt. I'm sure you're playing a picture here. You guys don't realize we're playing pictures of everybody.
Although
you
I
are.
was oddly taken with her song "Chic C'est La Vie." Remember
Chic,
that?
c'est la vie. No, the first one.
hit.
No, but the first one was "Money Can't Buy You Class."
Okay, that not as much, but
She's so
the
gorgeous
other one was a
in real
little
life.
catchy, but okay.
No, people, but I do have to tell you a funny story. So I was asked by my friend if I would sing, and he said to me, now I want you to just know that she will, this audience talks. That's the difference. So they're coming to beautiful 54 Below and
Iconic place for
Iconic,
people.
Which I
Beautiful.
could live. I could move and just have a little cot
right?
in 54 below.
Me too.
Yes.
Now, where's
I love it so
54
much.
Below?
You're gonna
It's
have to
literally
come
in the
to New York
basement
with
of
me.
Studio
will.
I'll have to
54.
do something.
Oh, okay.
And every Broadway performer, in fact, for my birthday,
it's
my
so
mom
gorgeous.
flew me there for one night to go see Patti LuPone.
You touched
and-
her?
Yeah, I was right here because the stage is right here. She came and kissed me for my birthday, and then I took a flight back. 54 Below is where people, Broadway stars, I feel, are stripped of all the lights
Yeah,
and the
it's
glamour,
fabulous.
and they tell stories. It's one of the most magical places.
Oh, I
Plus,
wanna
it's in
go.
it's in the building of 54.
I know,
I
it's right.
literally
It's
flew
beautiful.
there- I literally flew there like a couple months ago to see Sherry Renee Scott and Norbert Leo.
Oh, I was
That's who
so
had their
sad
show.
to miss that. I
Yeah.
was here. Yeah, I bet it was
Yeah,
amazing.
It was good.
And Jonas performed there, but sorry.
Anyway, go on.
So,
It's a magical place.
So
Yeah.
I love doing my show there. I think it was really fun. But so the Countess, they said she's going to talk. Her audience is going to talk. So I decided to and they put me on in the last spot right before. So she doesn't really can I say?
Sing.
Doesn't really
We had
sing.
Todd
Right.
Schroeder on the show, and Todd Schroeder is the musical director for this Ben Rimmelauer, who's our
Love
mutual
Ben.
friend, and it's been
He's
featured.
the one who asked me to do.
Oh,
Yes, so
perfect, because
he
you met him
directs
when he
it
did his show
with
here.
you.
Ah!
See how it works?
Such a small
So
world,
what does
you
she do?
guys.
Have other performers
So she has
so that
She'll
performers
do about
that
3
come
or
in.
4, and she talks, sings. Let's be honest.
She doesn't really sing, but she's got a persona and she looks beautiful in the gowns. But
Giovanni.
Giovanni. So all the housewives, but I had never seen the show at the time.
Probably better.
And my husband flew in for it, and he's a very honest, very wonderful guy. And she said to him, "Well, have you ever seen my show?" And he said, "No, but I'm really looking forward to it." And then she said to me, "Have you?" This is after I sang. I said, I couldn't even like make something up fast enough. And I said, no. But the funny thing was, so they tell me they're going to talk through the whole thing. They did. Every time she was on, they didn't talk. But every other performer, they were so loud. So I started my song really tiny. They got quiet. And then I did cleared it, got really big. And after the audience was so wonderful and responsive and everything. So they took pictures. They took a picture of the 4 people, the 4 guests and the Countess, and I was on the end smiling so happily. And they said, "You know it's coming." And they said, "Oh, she's social media. Her Twitter account has hundreds of
Yeah,
thousands."
it does. Yep.
Okay. The next day, Andy, the guy
know
from
where this
Bravo,
is
talked
going,
about me
yeah.
on the show. The next night, her social media comes out. The picture was exactly the same. The Countess, the 2, 3, 4 people know me. And it's so funny. I'm actually going to put it on my show because you
Yeah, you'd
see
have to.
my picture that I have
Yeah.
with all 5 of us, and then you see her picture with
Oh,
4
wow,
and
she
my
cut
knee.
you off.
And my knee.
Well, you
Liz, she-
realize that's what you always do with a significant other you may not be keeping, is you put them on the end of a photo so you can crop them
Yeah.
when you need the photo.
But why
without
did she cry?
Because you are a real singer, and she's not. But she also is very aware. Plus, I think at that time she was still fighting other issues.
She
that
was, and she
had.
got champagne for everybody after the show.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure she did.
couldn't have been nicer or more gracious, but I laugh. I love that she cut me out.
And so there's the discussion that we've
funny.
had because I've had we had Sarah Bodges,
She's so
she's in
wonderful.
Phantom and she was in
Yes.
Little Mermaid and she just did Hollywood Bowl, and we talked about this idea because you know me, I'm a classic Broadway, like that's what I consider Broadway. Give me
Yes.
a Carousel or an Oklahoma
Right.
or a Sweeney Todd. This new stuff, it's going to take some time. But her point is that it's bringing people back into the theater, and shouldn't that be our number one goal?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know,
But it's
just don't-
hard as because I get very
Yeah.
snobby about theater.
But you know what? Some of it is really, really good. And this club, Green Room 42, is amazing because, to your point, they charge very little money. There's a cover, but there's no 2-drink minimum because they want to bring cabaret to college kids and people that can't afford it.
See, and that I
Yeah,
think is
that's a
great
good
to
idea.
keep that art form going.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
cabaret is the best school that you can go to.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, cabaret has kind of had a reemergence. But there was a period of time where cabaret was like, cabaret. Because you had everybody saying, let's do a cabaret. And we know some mutual people like that. But when cabaret is done well, it is a night of storytelling and great music. But you can learn from every other performer, from their good points and also from their
But
mistakes.
I think sometimes people think if they can sing that they're a cabaret performer, and that isn't true.
Right.
Just like if you are in musical theater, just because you can sing doesn't make you a good actress. You really have to be able to act and
That's right.
sing in order to get through that material. And like when you showed that clip of Joan, the material's so smart, the patter's so smart, and the singing's good. It's like you can't do it with one or the other. To me,
And
it's not
Thank you.
effective without both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an art.
And
It
that's a
is
great
an
point.
art.
And I've seen good cabaret with non-singers, like that have had to talk.
Yeah,
sing
but they
because
tend to be a
they're
little more
emotive.
comedian.
Right,
Like,
right.
I won't even name anyone. I was about to just name
Well, you
them.
can name me if you've seen my show.
But it's funny that you mentioned that because one of the questions we did get is, divas on Broadway have become divas on Broadway. Such we have the Patti LuPone, we have Betty Buckley, we have the Bernadette Peters. They've kind of stopped being the roles that they're playing on stage. You don't go see them to be their role. You see
No,
them
they
to be
become
like
them.
right.
Yeah.
And so this is the question: is they're really not doing acting so much as just being themselves and having their presence. Acting, like you said, with your show, it's like a partnership, and so you don't come on as this big diva personality, but you still have the voice. I mean, it's all there. Do you think that the acting aspect has diminished in proportion to the diva persona? And isn't that the point of being a Broadway star, is being an actor?
But I think that it's everything. It's not just either or. I think that yes, you're going to get Bette Midler in Hello Dolly, and you go to, I called it Hello Bette. She was wonderful, but it was Bette Midler, right?
Gavin Creel was in it, I think, but I
Yeah.
only knew that from seeing it on my Pandora. And I was like, oh, Gavin Creel was in it? I had no clue.
But there's also brilliant performers in other shows. You know, it's not just either or.
Well, you know,
So-
there were people who would only go to the Tuesday show to see Donna Murphy.
Yeah, and I didn't see it, but I heard she was absolutely
Right.
Wait, Donna
brilliant.
Murphy was
She was
in
the
Hello
because
Dolly?
Bette Midler would do 7 shows a week, and Donna would do one.
Right.
Would
Yeah.
do the
Oh, wow. Tuesday nights.
nights.
I love Donna
And
Murphy, but I
there
don't
were
think she's Hello Dolly.
There were.
I heard she was
Everybody
amazing.
said she was amazing.
I heard breathtaking.
Yeah. So, you know,
But
I
is
think
she still
people
doing it
wanted to
now?
see Bette Midler. They went to see
No,
Bette
it's
Midler.
close.
If I'm going to see Bette Midler, I want to see her do the greatest hits. I don't really need to see her play something else.
Well, and she's also, her voice hasn't kept up with her. I just kind of want her to be like, good job.
Well, I can't say one way or the other. I haven't heard her live in a while, but I'm just, you know, for me, you know, I do think sometimes the personalities transcend the roles, and then it becomes a tricky thing.
We're going to take a little peek, talking about who singing on stage with. We have a clip of from 54 Below with Joan Ryan and Titus Burgess in Get Here.
Oh, Alita Adams.
He's so
I love him.
But you better get here soon. You can reach me like caravan. Cross the desert like an aeroplane. I don't care how you get here. Just get here.
He's so good.
But wait a minute, and Adyr, I wanted you to see this as well. There's a communication you have to have while doing improv, while doing anything.
Oh, you have to.
You guys definitely had that communication, even in terms of like, okay, how we're going to sustain this. There was the acting and the professionalism there. I just love
I
this.
find it very upsetting.
Why?
Because I've always wanted to be able to do that and have that talent. And when I see it, I just want to jump up there. I just have a zero shred of performing
To
ability.
sing and do that?
Do you
and
not
then I
sing like in the
watch that.
car or the shower or
I do,
anything?
of course I do, but is it good? No, not even.
But it's fun. I
But
do
when
it all
I
the
see
time.
people who are that talented, it just is. I'm just like, I want.
You know, actually, yeah, if I was that talented, I'd be doing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Ordering my coffee.
I'd go to Gelson's.
Grande.
Cheetah Rivera almost asked her to leave the stage because I was like, it's my life achievement, sweetie. And she's like, and here's Joan, like, in the middle arc, and she was like, You guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more questions and answers. And we're back. Do you love that? I know.
It's like I Dream of Jeannie. It's literally like Barbara Eden blinked, and here we are, back from the break.
Your first book, Porn Again,
Yes.
you talk about your relationship with sex.
Yes.
Late bloomer, and I'm not giving anything away. The 40-year-old virgin, you did the first version at the 31-year-old
Yes,
virgin.
yes.
Coming out late. Now, the book is so full of like fun stories with your parents, obviously very supportive.
Right.
But you still came out late. You
Right.
didn't feel comfortable in coming out earlier?
You know, I was bullied from the time I was 5 or 6. And I think and the first person who ever said it to me was an adult. And I think
Said
who
what?
Said
called
what?
me,
The cigarette?
I want to say it was at camp. My parents had sent me to camp,
no.
and he said something about being a homo, and I knew it was like a negative. I knew the way he said it was a negative thing, and then when that started to pick up, and other kids started to make fun of me, you start to realize that, or you start to feel like your self-worth just goes down the drain. So, after being told by enough people that I was worthless and not good, I did everything I could to keep that from my parents, because in the mind of a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, you think, well, if other people feel this way about me, I don't want the people who really do care about me to start to think that way. So I don't want to let them know that this is what other people think of me. And I think because it was drilled into me from such an early age that I really struggled with it.
There's so much pressure that we put on ourselves from the LGBT community, especially being young, just like you said, that could be there or not be there. We just don't know, but it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And you do talk about that in your book, which is something. Of course, you like to vacuum everywhere you would visit. By the way, that could have been a clue.
Yes, I was OCD, but I still am. I now just like someone else to do it.
You guys,
And do you
Hey,
put the
my new
curtains
friend!
down?
Yeah. I still like it clean. I just don't do it myself.
she'll put you to work.
Yeah.
Just draw the curtains.
Listen, if Joan will sing, I'll vacuum.
Deal. That's
Yeah.
a deal.
You would love her foyer with her piano, because there's actual original sheet music signed by every composer.
Okay, well, I'm
Kendron
I'm
Ebb,
fully
Sondheim,
expecting
Schwartz,
to see
everything.
it at some
Come
point now
on.
that I've met Joan.
That's right.
We'll do like an
Absolutely.
impromptu piano.
Yeah.
I
Do you
love
sing?
that.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Just like an actor, he's like, yes, I do that.
I'd do
He's like, I need
anything.
to learn how to sing.
I'll do cartwheels without legs if you have to.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that.
I got your number. But you also talk, and you talk a lot about sexuality in terms of coming out. You had a relationship, and the sex kind of fizzled. And
Right.
porn again is because you developed like a friendship with porn stars.
Well, that's not really the way. It
the
sort of
Cliff
is
Notes version.
sort of the ending of the book is sort of why the book has that title, which I don't want to ruin for people. But
No, because I
there's-
can't wait
Yeah.
to
There's
read
sort
it.
of a moment of self-acceptance that in an odd way came from adult entertainment. And so for most people, adult entertainment plays a certain role for them, and I'm not saying it hasn't filled that for me as well at certain times, but there was sort of this ultimate acceptance that involved my parents and pornography and me, which is just a ridiculous, funny story, but it was really how it all came together.
But it's very funny because the minute we hear the word porn, the minute we start talking about sex, people get uncomfortable.
Right.
Because it has connotations. I mean, I was raised, I still haven't had the birds and bees conversation with my mom. Like, we just don't talk about it. Like, she knows what I do. I
Right.
know how I was born. But it's such a weird taboo.
So I grew up,
okay.
I grew up
Everybody's
with,
like, ah.
yeah, I mean, dinner table conversation at my house was probably not,
Does he have my file?
sex, I don't know, you fly to Florida for that?
Under a different name. My name is Yaniga Montoya.
Sexuality was a big part of my father's,
I know that
practice.
Sure.
So it was something that was not considered, a bad thing in our, or a shameful thing. The homosexuality, my own struggle with that was my problem.
Yeah.
But sexuality as a subject was not something that was seen.
Not spoken
that wasn't
about.
right. It wasn't regarded as something dirty or
Right. That's how
right.
it is in
Yeah.
my house.
Well, so yeah, I grew up in a typical Latino home. I mean, a lot of us, we don't talk about it,
And we know Latinos, we're doing it every day.
Yeah. yeah. The whole thing, well, she's getting married. Why is she pregnant? That's how we say it. Like, oh, don't get pregnant. Follow the rhythm method. It always works.
Oh, okay.
And Latinos have rhythm. Like, let's just say,
I know,
just when it
right?
comes to that, apparently, we have like 20 kids.
Oh, yeah. But
There's
after a
different
couple
method
drinks,
to
it
your
does
rhythm,
come
is that
out.
what you're saying?
Josh, what did you learn most about yourself? Because when you sit and write a memoir, you kind of have to revisit all of these stories. And I'm sure when you do a cabaret and you put it together, you kind of have to relive what you're talking about. And you're like,
Yeah, I saved the hardest parts I didn't write it in order.
oh, interesting.
And I saved the hardest parts. You kind of leave the,
Yeah.
I, would write the things like my bar mitzvah was one thing,
Guys,
and
he was singing show tunes before the rabbi showed up.
I
like,
would
the
listen
synagogue, yeah.
to rehearse
I
So
love
the.
it.
your parents
Oh,
knew
my
you were gay.
God.
Oh,
Of course they knew you were
I mean,
gay,
Helen
right?
Keller probably knew it.
I think parents know. Like, my mom knew.
Yeah, I think
My
they
mom
Nice.
knew.
swears she
Nice.
doesn't. No.
Although I think my mother is a little more. I think my father did. I think my mother's a little more naive about things. Like, oh, he just happens to want a Cher album, and he's 11. Like,
And you wanted to see Flash. You saw Flashdance.
Flashdance, right? But I'm sorry, your question was, what did I learn about myself?
Yeah, when you have to
from the-
revisit, because you're obviously at a different place than when these memories happened.
Right.
Also, leaving, working for so many other people and studios to,
Right.
this is my project, this is
Right.
what I have going on right now. You're in a
Right.
different place. So what did you learn most about you from start to finish? I wrote this and now I feel different.
I mean, I felt completely unburdened once the book was done.
Amazing.
And I felt not just because you finished this thing and this piece of work is there
Yeah.
and you have something to show for it, but also there's this sort of sense of, all the bad things that were said to me. And by the way, I'm not a perfect person myself. I'm sure I've unintentionally hurt people.
Yes, I have
whatever.
text.
But what I learned over
joke, by the
time
way.
was what I learned. I'm trying to answer
Yes.
and not be so distracted by you. But what I learned is that for too long, I felt worthless. I felt like not enough. And I think by the time I finished the book, I realized that I don't really believe that anymore.
Good.
That's amazing.
You know what I think is so hard? See, you talk about my singing, but I think writing and isolating yourself to write is, I can maybe do 2 pages of a journal every 3 weeks, but to do that,
It's
have
hard.
that discipline and do it every day and not get distracted by your phone.
And
or
you have to
any-
treat it like a job.
Yes, you do.
I mean,
right?
sometimes I'm working on a 3rd book now, and I sometimes lock the phone in the car.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Is it a fiction or is it a...
Fiction.
Is it fiction? So in this theme of storytelling, and this is along the same lines, Joan, I've seen Joan Ryan live, which we've had some fun with the title. Everybody says, so-and-so live. It's like, well, what's the alternative?
Right. Joan Ryan dead.
Right, or
Well, we could even do on life support. We could have a whole thing.
That
in
is
between.
kind of
yeah,
true.
Patty
yeah.
LuPone, she'd still have issues.
I gotta hear how
Look at
Patty
her
LuPone
go.
wronged you.
She didn't wrong me. It's just, the idea of how we affix ourselves to stars. And because you've met people that you
Yes.
idolize and then you come face to face with
Right.
them.
And it's a
Right.
whole different.
And it's so different.
Yes.
And I've met her on so many different occasions. She was so sweet to me. I'm talking about her presentation as an actress.
Yeah.
And this is what I talk about the diva taking over for the character. And it's so overblown. You've forgotten your nuances. You've forgotten your storytelling. Like I joked about Meadowlark. Meadowlark. And if people don't know, Meadowlark is one of
Baker's
Patty
Wife.
LuPone's. Yes.
Yes, very good.
There's a whole story, and Joan does it, and it's a whole different thing. But I've heard Patty LuPone sing it live probably 10 to 15 different times. I mean, I've flown to Chicago. I've flown to New York for one night to see her. And it just became like, I'm Patty LuPone, I don't have to do these subtleties, and I don't have to tell a story anymore. And I'm like, Mah! It's like, no. And it's really made me lose. And then in roles, like she was on Pose. God, you guys, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to be honest. She was on Pose, and it's like, I'm Patty LuPone in Pose. No, you're an actress, and I need you to affect me. The first time I saw Patty LuPone was at the White House. Remember during 4th of July, they invite people to come
Yes.
sing,
Yeah.
and it's a concert. And I didn't know who the hell she was, and she was I remember like it was yesterday, in a sequined jacket, and she sang Don't Cry from Argentina. And I asked my mom, why is she singing about Argentina during America? Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
It was her Velvet, remember how she used to do that Velvet intro? And then she built and built, and you were just like, oh, that's a story. And that's what I see in the cabaret, and that's what I stopped to see with her performances. And that's like, I don't need to follow you anymore because I don't need to. It's been a weird journey for me in real life because then you realize like who your real friends are. You realize what you're on this career. It's become actually a bigger
That's amazing.
Anyway, I don't know how we got off to that, but and I've seen Joan Ryan on the edge, which we've also had fun because she fell off the edge once.
But she's
Not really
back.
a dad
But
joke.
she's back. But your creative process, you share so much in your show. What is your creative process? And now you're on the eve of a new show, and now like you are back in it. You know what I mean?
It's very interesting because my last show, as you know, I did it with the amazing director Andrew McBean, whom we all know.
Huge history in Broadway with Trevor Nunn.
He directed every diva and put every diva
Yep.
into Sunset Boulevard, and we met when I had done a show, and he came backstage, and just out of the blue I said, do you want to do a show for me? And I didn't even know the guy, and so he did, and it started a long journey of this last show that I did that he said, I will only do this for you if you tell the truth. And then really what you're saying too, when you peel the layers of the onion, then everybody, like your book, people can really be moved or relate.
Yeah.
You have to own
You have to own your
stuff,
journey.
or
At this
otherwise
age,
people
we have
don't
a
connect.
journey.
Yeah.
That's right. And so this new show is wonderful because I realized that I have to be with somebody that I trust implicitly, like I do Will now. But nevertheless, we'll come up with something great in rehearsal. And then I get home and I go, I don't think I like it very much. I don't think, and it's just fear talking, right? And then if you have a good director, they push you and say, oh, no, we're doing this. This really works. So, but this show is different in that I'm in such a different place in my life.
Yeah.
Our parents get older, our kids get older. And then and I also, and I've said this before, one of the reasons that I actually am in New York now is because, and I've said this before, I'm sure you heard it, that we all have this pilot light that doesn't go out, from the time we were little. And our lives can sometimes take different journeys and different paths. And it's sometimes scary to say, okay, well, I'm going to go after this thing. And, but it's very different, even doing my show and different being in New York than when I was a young actress. Because I thought, what are they going to do? Tell me I can never, work again? I've already worked. And what are they going to do? I have a nice family and a house.
Yeah.
What are they going to say? Go home?
Right.
Maybe. And so even my auditions in New York are very different. Because now it's about the joy of loving what I do and not needing to get somewhere.
Right, because
Yeah.
there's like a fearlessness about it. Like there's
And it's just
nothing
like
to
a game
lose.
for me.
Right.
And so my auditions are different, my meetings are different because it's just an authentic process. And the reaction is even different because when you get all that noise out of the way, that's the best thing about being this age for me now is that all the noise is kind of,
Right.
if I have
And
a
you
bad
believe
audition,
in
I
it
get
at
to
this
go
point.
home.
It's the same thing. It's like we know the talent's there. I mean,
That's right.
you wouldn't have accomplished what you have
Right.
if it wasn't there. So you
Right.
have the goods. It's like there's something about that, like knowing that you can believe in yourself.
Right.
I find this so inspirational, by the way. Kurt, while we're talking, I need you to find the Joan Ryan headshot with the rose.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because we're going to do a fun with that. But
I'm going to tell you something funny about that picture when we look at it, too.
oh, no. Oh, it's already
wow,
here.
look at
Okay.
that.
You guys, what the hell is going on with this? Joan.
Wait, I'm confused by the perspective. Hold on.
No. This is an early headshot where you were supposed to be dramatic.
It was for my very first club act I ever did.
Love
Directed by Michael Chapman and Michael Marin did the photo.
We
And
know
we
Michael
were
Bay.
going for kind of a Judy Garland, Liza
But was
sort
it a
of
wall?
thing.
Are you like coming? Is your hands like on the wall? Is
no,
that what it
not-
was?
I don't know what that thing is in the
That's
middle.
what
That's not in the picture. I don't think that's in the picture. I think that's in...
This is the picture because I
Is
pulled
there
it.
a wall?
Yeah, it has you.
I never
with
saw that in all these years.
Girl, this is
Yeah,
the
because I was like, there's
official-
a hand and a rose, but
Yeah.
it's
No,
I mean, it's a
she's
stunning
showing
picture.
here, and I was like this, but
Who
Bring it
took
back,
the
Kurt.
photo?
Michael Marin, who is
Oh, you
a
said that, right, right.
genius photographer.
The picture. But that's why I was
I never
wondering
saw
if like
that. I
your
don't think
was
that's
your
in the
hand and
picture.
rose put in? Like
I'm telling you, this is what's
I
out there.
had to look.
Anyway,
Are you sure?
as like a fun thing, what I wanted to do is, Joan Ryan, if you had to do a one-woman show based on this picture, what would that title? Bring it back, Kurt.
Kurt.
Oh,
What would you title this one-woman show? And Josh, I want you, if you were going to do a Lifetime movie, what would the title be?
Lifetime or Hallmark?
Lifetime.
They're two totally different
Lifetime.
titles. Okay.
Yeah. Kurt, bring the picture back. Joan Ryan, give us what
I don't.
what
really,
is this one-woman show called?
Don't take my rose. Okay, Josh, you're the writer.
Josh, yeah.
Well, if it were one of those movies, it would be My Stepbrother, My Lover. Right?
And you got shop. Josh, I actually have this question from me.
Okay.
You are a voice in the LGBT community, but it really doesn't define you. Which, on this show, I try to fight labels as well.
Right.
Of course, I'm LGBT, but everybody has been on the show.
Wait, are you all four?
No,
You're one of the letters.
you don't know. I don't believe in labels. I've probably been all at one point.
You just owned them all, but okay.
But you aren't involved in like the nightlife circuit.
No,
You're not hanging out in West Hollywood. Is that an active choice? And does that
No,
still
it's
make
just
you a voice for the
not.
LGBT?
It's just not. I guess at this stage in my life, I'm not really a drinker, so I don't really enjoy. Sorry to say.
Equality vodka.
I don't really enjoy. I'm sure it's delicious, and if I did drink, it would be a quality
Actually
vodka.
is. Thank you.
But
It supports a lot of people.
I'm not really a drinker, so
You had some champagne with Alan Cumming in your book,
my
and we know how that ended up.
for the most part, I think my. I like to go to a movie, have dinner, and by 10 or 10:30, I'm tired and I'm ready for bed. I don't know. So I'm just not that party type person.
What about when you go to New York? Do you do the
No.
same thing?
I'll go to the theater.
And
I'll
then
go
you
to.
go home?
I'll go to Joan and
Okay.
get some dessert and something to
Okay,
whatever.
okay, you're
and
on.
then I go home. So I'd say but I'm not out till 2:00 in the morning at a
Right.
bar.
Right.
I'm one of those people myself,
You don't drink either.
Yeah, well, I don't drink. Like I said,
But
I'm
it's
one of
not that I
those
don't
people.
appreciate
No,
it
but
or
I
appreciate
do
it.
that. I appreciate it too
Yeah.
myself. But I'm like you. Like I people go, let's go out and drink. I'm like, I'd rather go home and lie down.
But
and
that's
relax.
not what I
find
mean.
that
And
entertaining.
but it's very funny
Yeah,
that I
it's-
mention LGBT community. It has to be about drinking, and I'm not talking about. But I'm talking about like the whole nightlife, the whole. There's like a LGBT group. You know what I mean? That you
Yeah.
do go to the premieres and all that, and you're wearing the outfits, and you're on social media all that time. You don't subscribe to that.
I think some of it comes from I think now I feel more comfortable. I think, I've never felt that comfortable in my skin. And so it's just sort of the idea of being out and on display kind of thing never felt good to me. And that's sort of how it would feel when I was in those situations that you'd walk in a room, you feel, whether they are or not in reality, there's this idea that somebody's looking at you. And I never felt good enough about myself to do that. Also, I tend to be somebody like what I appreciate in entertainment is going in and hearing Joan sing and having a great meal, and that to me is entertainment. Sitting in a banquet with a lot of noise and pumping music is not, I don't find that personally entertaining. So I do what I enjoy doing.
That's
it's
right,
not
that's great.
really because I'm not looking down on it, and I think if that's how people, get their entertainment, then
Yeah.
they should be flooding the clubs. You're just
I
not
don't
going to
mind
find me
the
there.
Clubs. I find a lot of like material when I go to clubs sometimes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, I enjoy
Listen,
every
I
bit of
find
it.
material wherever I go.
Yeah.
Everything is material.
For me, it's good networking because you'll have a conversation, especially in the LGBT community. Everybody will be hanging out, from Bryan Singer, not that you want to, but to, like Stephen Schwartz, not that he's gay, but like he's with the people. You never know who you're going to rub elbows with in the nightlife, but I can see.
But
and
you're
you kind of
looking
don't
at
need
more
to do that
that
anymore.
way. But I didn't do it even when I probably needed to. It just was never a
I
comfort.
think
It was
it's
never
not
a
for everybody.
It was
I
never
think-
a
it's different for
comfort zone for
everybody.
me. But it's not that. That's just. But to me, that's just not my thing. It's not that I don't celebrate it or celebrate that it's part of a particular culture.
And I think that's a good statement. You
Yeah.
know, like you said, with the LGBT community, it like puts such pressure to be a certain way, and if you're not that way, it's like,
I think
but
the
I
LGBT
love it.
community, it's hard. It's a hard lifestyle, to be honest. I've watched it change.
yes, it's so hard for you as a tall, skinny, attractive man. Oh, you poor thing.
You're welcome. No, I mean, in all honesty, I've seen it go like, I'm getting older. I'm not like the youngest twink in the world. You know what I mean? I'm ripe. Yeah.
How old are you? I have my pen here.
I'm 40.
You are. You look so much younger than 40.
Damn, girl.
Beige.
Oh, we just played your Frida Kahlo picture, by the way. This is what I love about you, and the minute I met you, you're not afraid to look a certain way. We've been playing so many pictures of you in costume and just like certain ways.
Oh, did you see the Halloween costume? It's right next to Frida Kahlo. That
Yes.
one, yeah.
And
It was from Little Nicky.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, hysterical.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
All right, so we have a last topic, and then you guys, the show has already.
Oh my
How is
god.
that
my God.
possible?
This has been such a great conversation, by the way. But love and dating, and you talked about this in both of your books. And Joan, I know your husband, and it's really worked with this communication.
Isn't he the greatest?
Is he in
I really
entertainment or
got
no?
lucky. Well, I call him recovering attorney.
Okay.
Because he was an entertainment attorney for many
Okay.
years, but
Oh,
not.
wow.
Yeah, but he is a rare book dealer, so he is a fan.
And I collect rare and signed books.
Oh my
on.
God, Josh, we're talking about like original
First
like,
editions,
Charles
yes.
Dickens, like everything.
Well, that may be. I mean, but
Like-
I collect books. Yeah.
I love that you're coming to the house.
You know,
So
though,
glad
it
you
is
can
such a good
read.
feeling when you find one too, because I found one in Pasadena in a used bookstore, and the guy's like, "This is $30. Holy Jesus!" I remember he said that to me, and I was like, "Well, I want it because it was the first edition signed and Rice Queen of the Damned."
No.
oh my God, I
Yeah.
was just gonna make the joke. My classic is like a Stephen King sign. Yeah,
I actually found the first edition of Fear of
I
Flying
love those
Earth
books.
she's my friend, girl.
The other day I was.
Oh my
I
God,
could
I
not
love
have been
her.
More
Yeah.
excited.
Oh my gosh, where do you
Yeah?
keep your books?
I have one wall of my
Yeah,
house.
what's the
is-
address?
One
Do you have
wall of
insurance
my
on this?
house is floor to ceiling bookshelves with a ladder.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
have
Oh,
to
wow.
see it.
And then I have them in every.
come to
Okay,
my
we're getting off the subject, by the way.
Stuffed in every book.
Last topic, and then we have to go because Kurt has to go home to his wife. Love and dating. It's a theme in Porn Again, in Enemies Closer. Married, don't know. My situation.
I'm well. I don't know. I guess I can say I'm practically there.
Practically where?
Married.
Oh,
You looked at me and said, "Don't know."
I'll sing at your wedding.
Oh, I would
you
love
Wow,
it.
that's
you know,
quite
I'm a
an
registered
offer.
officiant.
I would love-
for real. No,
We
but
could
I-
just do it here. Get
Well,
him here.
he does dressage. He's an equestrian. He's a dressage trainer
Oh, so he. Oh,
over at the equestrian center, and
So he's
he
little?
has to ride horses. No, and he's tall.
okay. We found out a lot. But how do we effectively have any kind of relationships with our friends, with loved ones in the entertainment? Because it's long hours, there's jealousy, there's all this weird energy. And we're all so different. Obviously, we're at totally different stages.
No.
How does love and dating work in the entertainment world?
That's interesting because it's been very interesting to navigate it across, from being
Yeah.
in New York and my husband's here in LA.
I would think that would keep things great, like and more exciting.
Well, it would be more easier now with social media and like how technology goes, though, right?
Right, we FaceTime
Yeah.
1,000 times a day, and so do I with my daughters. We're so connected. But I think it starts with choosing. I really do. I think it's the person you choose. Because I have a husband that only wants me to be so successful. There's no jealousy. His favorite thing to do, he says, is to be in the audience when I'm singing.
Oh, that's awesome.
True story.
And
You should see his face. He's just like, yeah.
But he's opinionated too. So I came home the other day this is off the subject with one of my songs, and we're rehearsing in the house. And then when they leave, he likes to give me his opinion, and he goes, "You know that song? I don't like that one. It just made me no, that's not good. It's what are you talking about?" And I love
Was this
this.
song you had written?
No, one
or
of the
just
songs
a-
that I want to put in my show. But he's
Can
usually
we
right.
hear what it is? Because I'll decide.
Yeah. Well, I'll send
Oh,
you
God.
the.
He's going to send you notes via
I'm gonna
text.
be like sending you lists.
Okay,
That
but-
song,
no, I
Joan.
want that.
It was that one.
But I think it's in who you choose.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. I was married before. Luck of the draw, who you choose. And I've been.
I think that's what it's in the end. It's like if you really love that person, you would really want to challenge them for the better themselves and just have them be free. Because like if you want them to change, then the love is gone, right?
Things happen, but you said it, and I've never had that response. It's who you choose at step one. It's all like, well, these things come up. That's such a profound statement in who you choose.
It's who you choose and also what you want. So if you want to have an amazing relationship, and listen, I've been married for 24 years already. Wow. And in our vows, we said we want who we are as a couple to be bigger than who we are as a couple. So we want to, our house is open to people. We want to.
And I know that as a fact. It is a welcome place.
But I think it's also that we fight, believe me. We have, nothing's perfect. But none of us are committed to staying there. And I think it's because we were married before. We know what we don't want to have happen. We don't want to get. Mm-hmm. So when it gets, however, if we fight, we just know that we're going to get off it eventually. And as much as we hate it, we sit down and we talk about it. Because we don't want it to end up that way. So I think you have to choose somebody who also wants that.
And who's a good communicator.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's really the key because anything that's talked through properly you can get through.
And you talk about certain relationships you had that just wasn't there. But people see Josh and like, oh, he's an author. He produces these movies. So entertainment's like, So how do you guard against that?
I don't know. I guess I never feel I never feel like I need. Maybe I should be more guarded. I don't know. I don't.
Have them call me first. I'll put them through a screening.
Yeah, no, I feel like
do you like Flashdance?
no, but I feel like some of it is, I think as I've gotten a little older and as I know what I want in my own life and what I want for myself, I think I'm better able to sort of discern and weed out.
Yeah.
And when I say weed out, that sounds so negative, but I
you
mean,
have
I'm
to.
able to, I think, like any battery of questions, like they're all by design, like any test that you give somebody. And I sort of have certain questions that I know I can ask somebody. And based on an answer, I can tell you whether that's my people or not.
You're welcome.
You're definitely one of them. Too bad you're married.
That's going to be on his
Really
tombstone.
married.
You're welcome. All right, you guys, we have to end the show. And if you want to date Josh, you need to read both these books. He literally lays it out for you. Born Again and Enemies Closer. Memoir, nonfiction, fiction, supposedly.
Yeah.
Although, I even texted him like, is that person?
I'm like, I can neither confirm nor deny.
It was.
I'm like, if you think it's somebody, it might be them.
And you guys, it's a perfect book for the holidays, by the way, especially for your frenemies, people
Yes.
that you love and hate at the same time. Okay, we end the show with rapid fire. Who wants to go first?
What is that?
What's rapid fire?
You just answer
We need
questions.
the
Okay.
Rapidly.
improv person
Okay.
has to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
first.
All right,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good.
Adyr.
Good one.
One custom food, etc., from the Latin culture that you're like, what?
Perereque.
What is that?
There we go.
I was
You-
going to
you
say
just
that
made
too.
that
I
up.
don't
I'm
even
glad
know.
I
You know
I'm glad
what?
I didn't get the question.
Perereque?
Yeah. My aunt would go. She'd always come over. She's like in Spanish, but she was like, "I made some perereque." I was like, I always just don't. I don't know what it is. I eat it, but
Well, pera is
I
a dog. No, it really is.
perro.
Oh, pera is a bitch.
What
it is.
happened to your
Perra is a female
Spanish,
dog, yeah.
Rodriguez?
We broke up.
Why'd you break up with? Was it too
He
much?
worked at Subway, by the way. I'm not even kidding you.
What if it's the
He was
same
a
guy you
sandwich
got?
artist.
I got double meat on my footlong. Anyway, it's fine. Okay. Okay, so perereque, but you never found out what it
Perereque.
was?
I know. I don't remember what it was, but I just eat it, and I know it's good, and it's brown. That kind of sounds all kind of
Okay.
wrong. Come to think of
Oh,
it.
Mexican food. I always say, look, the sun going out. Is it
Dream celebrity you'd love to do improv with.
Ooh, Margaret Cho.
Oh, that's actually very interesting because she's very rigid in what she does. That's interesting. What would the name of your sitcom be?
I would say, okay, well, let me.
You're welcome.
I know. There we go. You answered that one. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I love
This is
it.
clearly the
Yeah.
not so rapid fire.
I know.
You're welcome. Sung by Joan Ryan. Lyrics written by.
And written
the
by
audience.
Josh.
You could cast yourself in any major film from this past year. Which one would it be? Male or female role?
Male or female role?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I haven't even seen a movie in the theater at all this year, but I've
We just
streamed.
broke up.
I
marriage
know.
isn't gonna work.
I lied. Maleficent with Angelina Jolie's the one.
And
I
that was the
just-
wrong one.
I
If you were
know.
going to see
Right.
only
I said
one,
movie, not disaster.
that wasn't it.
Hey, I would have been one of the fairies. I would have been Thistlewit.
Yes. So actually, that's a fair answer. I could see with that. Your strangest habit?
I think in Mandarin.
Oh.
And sometimes I answer that way. So, for example, I had a friend of mine going, I'm going to the, my friend basically. He came with me to a party, and I was just like, hey, this is my friend. He's an airplane driver. Because there's no word for pilot.
This is why
It's
I've understood nothing
airplane
during
and
this hour and a
driver.
half.
I know. I'm like good thinking in Chinese, finding different ways to answer.
That's what's made our grinder conversation so weird. Adyr,
Right?
where can people find you?
You can on the corner.
We're classy. We have Broadway World winner, and we have
Actually, yes, on the corner, on the weekends.
your social media, sweetie.
Oh, you can find
Wait,
me.
well, you're on the corner?
Oh my God,
My weekend job.
Oh, okay.
sometimes. And
this is a
my
whole other show.
the stage I perform is on a corner. But yes, you can find me at Adyr Villa on my Instagram, or you can find me on Facebook under my name, Adyr Villavicencio.
And it's A-D-Y-R.
Yes, A-D-Y-R.
Do, Adyr.
Female deer.
All right, who's next?
All right.
Joan. Musical theater song that can take a break for a while.
Shall we dance?
Oh, that's your signature song.
I know, but I'm thinking I won't put it in because everybody, I don't know. I'm thinking,
I actually like, that's a bold choice.
isn't
But
it?
do you think people
Yeah,
will
it
be
really is.
upset? Like that they want to hear you?
Because I don't do it the normal way. You know, it's not like, shall we do it?
Right.
It's not that. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of not sure whether I should fight for it or not in the new
I don't
show.
think you should. Because I don't think you should put it in.
or what if you did it in a different arrangement? Like
No.
a whole
No. Because I
Okay.
think what you just said is like telling a
It's
new
my-
story.
Yeah, I'm telling a new story. So I'm not putting almost any Beltaholic. No, I mean there's like
Yeah, but when you
almost-
go to see somebody, like I recently went to go see Pat Benatar, and she left out just
No.
Shadows of the Night,
Okay, but Benatar.
and I was really annoyed.
Really?
I'm not sure.
I love Pat Benatar.
We're going to talk
So
about
do
this
I.
because
We're
I feel very
rewriting
strongly.
it for Broadway though. We're rewriting it.
Then you have to put it back in.
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
feel like people might want
Okay.
to hear
And
you.
her version is,
Right. If it's iconic, that's
it's like, I want to dance.
All right, we'll see.
even
Roll
if
that
it was
you-
a hidden track at the end
yeah,
after.
yeah. I even thought about doing it at the, I don't know.
Oh,
we're just,
maybe as an encore. Yeah.
thought about it. Maybe.
Anyway, go with your rapid fire.
Joan.
Slow fire. What
God,
did you say?
he's such a Jewish grandma, by the way. Are you done? Can I go home? Can I pee?
You know it's getting past my bedtime. I already told you that.
No, you were out later last night. No, just kidding. Let's talk him. It's fine. A role that you would want to go back and revisit.
Well, my favorite role, I loved Little Shop. I loved her so much.
Yeah.
And Ellen Green just did her at like 65
No,
or
I
Jake
60.
saw that in the
Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Did you?
Like,
I heard she was incredible.
she was
Wait.
amazing.
She wore the same outfit, but here's the thing: is that the character should be revisited.
That's right. Revisited.
Yeah.
I would love to do that character.
Yeah, and play
I
it a little
loved her.
different.
That was my favorite musical.
Yeah, of course.
Mine too.
Ever.
Well,
Little
you know,
Shop
that,
of Horrors.
Jonathan Groff is in it right now.
I know.
They're doing it off Broadway again. The way
I
it was
know,
originally.
with the 20
In
something.
fact, next week Nick Cordero did it at Lincoln Center, and he's on the show next week.
Yes, amazing.
He's going to talk about that journey as like
Yeah.
playing a role that's been done. You could go back in time and star in any classic Broadway musical. Which role would you play, male or female?
Joan's questions.
These are good. What would I play? I know that there are roles
know,
that I still want to play. Like I'm talking to
We're talking classic Broadway, male or female.
Oh, I know, Fantine. Now, you know my Fantine story. I had
But you
5
played
callbacks.
Fantine.
Well, here, but I had gotten 5 callbacks for Fantine when it first came to LA. And I was so devastated that I didn't get it. And the day I signed my contract for Saved by the Bell, they called my agent and said, we changed our mind because it was between me and another person. I
didn't know
The
that.
day I signed the contract. And literally I had 5 callbacks with the wig, with the outfit, with the everything. So if I could go back in time, and I did do it, but I did it, I would have liked to have done it on that scale.
Yeah.
So where did you do it?
I did it in a
Pacific
theater
Light, yeah.
here, but it was, more a concert version than, I still got to sing all those iconic songs, but still,
Yeah.
that was like the one.
I didn't know that, Joe.
Yeah, and literally the day I signed the contract, the day they called and said, we made a mistake. Would your client do it? And I couldn't do it. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
that was a good question.
What would the name of a musical based on your life be?
That girl.
Love it.
I'd like to,
I
I
love
know.
Yeah. Worst costume that someone put you in? Oh, because I had such a huge thing about Bob Mackie, and you did that whole creative process with him. But what was the worst costume you ever wore?
I think in the 6th grade. I'm still traumatized.
You're
I was
being
a
politically
chubby 6th
correct, by the
grader.
way.
No, I was a chubby 6th grader, and I was in Aladdin and had to wear like the genie costume, and I was really a chubby little Jewish girl, and I'm still tortured by it. So that's the first thing, literally, that came to mind.
Joan Ryan, I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Where can people follow you?
You know better than I do.
JoanRyan.com. The official Joan Ryan on Facebook and
The official
The
Joan
Joan
Ryan
Ry- on Instagram.
The official
Yeah.
Joan Ryan. You made me do that all. The official Joan Ryan on Instagram, and I think it's the official Joan Ryan on Twitter. I don't know. I know Instagram and Facebook really well.
Joan Ryan. But it's so amazing, and you'll see pictures of you with Carol Burnett and Burnett Peters, and just a huge fan. Can't wait to see you in Laguna Playhouse, by the way.
That's going to be
And
really
I'm taking
fun.
you out after.
Fun. Done.
Done.
Love it.
Are you ready?
Are you ready,
Go.
Josh?
Let's try it. Go.
I'll help you. I'm
Okay,
sitting here
thank
with
you.
A film reboot that you would actually consider executive producing.
Flashdance.
Brilliant.
What would she
Actually-
be doing other than welding?
It would be a whole new Flashdance.
Biggest actor pet peeve when you were on set as a producer?
Is somebody not being on time. But that I think is my pet. That's a pet peeve.
Yeah,
Period.
for sure.
Yeah.
Loved your cameo in this season's Hallmark Christmas movie. What is the title of the Hallmark Christmas movie based on your dating life?
Hallmark would never in a million years.
No. But you have to make it. You have to make it. This is the rapid fire. You have to make it.
You realize it would just be something like Christmas in Los Angeles, of Los
No.
Angeles Christmas. They're all called something like that.
It'd be called Christmas with Postmates. Okay.
Okay.
That's funny.
Josh, most overrated movie?
You mean of all time?
Yep.
Oh my god, I don't.
It's called Rapid. You told him it was Rapid Fire.
I don't know. Gone with the Wind has never been a favorite of mine. So I mean, I don't know. Shoot me.
No, I think that's an honest answer.
Yeah.
Worst date you've ever had?
Read
Besides
the book
tonight.
Porn Again. It's in there.
Oh.
They're all in there.
Tell our viewers and listeners where they can find you.
It's at Josh Sabarra, Sabarra, on everything.
You guys, we've had such a fun time.
Yeah,
this
we
was a
did.
very deep one. I liked
I
it.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Went
guys-
very quickly.
Yeah, it did.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
how are we already
Because you were
through
like,
this?
90 minutes? Yeah. And you're going to
I know. I was like, I hope you're going to talk a lot, Alexander.
It's like, I only paid up for 60. Coming up, you guys, on the Rocks, we have the fabulous Mrs. Maisel, Shirley Maisel herself, SAG Award-winning actress Caroline Aaron, Tony Award nominee Nick Cordero from Broadway's The Waitress, A Bronx Tale, and Rock of Ages. And in the new year, we have 8-time Academy Award nominee and special makeup effects queen V. Neal's coming in, soap opera hunk and Ford versus Ferrari actor Sean Kerrigan, married with co-star turned director Amanda Beers. I don't know if you remember
I
that.
love her.
Yeah.
She's doing huge things. We have Facts of Life, Mindy Kahn. We have Raviv Ullman from Disney Channel's Phil of the Future, and our big 200th episode with
No way.
the John Waters Queens, Mink Stoll and Tracy Lords, Miss Coco Peru, and RuPaul's Drag Race, Eureka O'Hara, and Chi Chi DeVane in one episode.
Wow, that'll be fun.
This is the place to be, you guys. I love all of our followers. Just follow us a little bit. Facebook, On the Rocks Radio Show. Instagram, at ontherocksradioshow.com. You guys.
You're
Thank you.
fabulous.
This
Oh,
is great.
girl. We're taking a road trip to New York, and we're going to
Yeah.
do a live broadcast. from
Yeah.
your
I
show.
love it.
I want to
Yeah.
see you in
7th.
Laguna.
You know what? That's
Come,
next week.
because, yeah.
We'll go do something.
Kurt, thank you so much. You guys, happy holidays. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.